How you all doing? Did you like that? How you all doing? I crossed over from southwestern Ohio and I got into West Virginia. I love the state. Today I want to talk a little bit about some of the key issues that's going on in the territory. But before I get into that, I really think we need to talk a little bit about this state and the speed limit. You know, this is the only state that I ever come into where you cross over into 70-mile-an-hour speed limit. And you know, that's really great, because in the other states try to cheat a little bit, and you always go about maybe 70, 71. Some of you do a little bit quicker. And I was on 79 coming across Ohio, and you know that road goes like this. And I don't know how the people here in West Virginia keep going 70 miles an hour, but by God, I think they were doing 80 when they passed me, and I was trying to cold on the road at 55. And they did slow down on 64, because I guess a thunderstorm came through and maybe a tornado or something, and it flooded 64, and that actually they had to stop, and it took us about an hour to get through that location. But it was it slowed them down a little bit, but boy, you people, you sure do know how to hang on to them roads, that's for damn sure. But what I'd like today to talk a little bit about is these different subjects, but I'd also like to have an interchange. I'd really like to have this like as a town hall meeting, because there's a lot of issues out there that we need to talk about. We need to develop ideas on how we're going to approach these ideas, because it ain't a one-way street here. You know, I can get up here and talk to you about this, and this, but if we don't have that feedback from the membership on where we got to go, then I think we're doing a disservice to the organization and to the members. And Warren mentioned that I was out on the road. I've been out on the road quite a bit, just like everybody here, because servicing has changed over the years, organizing has changed over the years. Our whole culture has changed over the years, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about that. But one of the things that I really enjoy doing is meeting, with our members in their environment, in their shops. And what I've taken out of that is we've got some really dedicated and committed members, intelligent people that really have a desire to make their community better, make their state better, make their lives better and their children's lives better. So it's really a warm feeling to know that we do have a core membership out there that are committed and dedicated to what they believe in. You know, a lot of you out here, the business reps and stuff, you only deal with 5% or 3% of those individuals that have problems all the time, that are angry, that have a dispute or whatever, and rightfully so. They have might have a legitimate concern. The business rep's main purpose is to police the contracts, to do the servicing. So you hear that negative side. But we've really pushed to make sure that our business reps get into the shops, to talk to the people, because that's where you really feel the heart of the membership. And there's always a difference from going from one to the other. But throughout our history, and I want to talk about our history of our organization since I've been involved in it. I remember some of the first meetings I went into. People weren't afraid to express their opinion, and that has stayed consistent from the first time I got in to the time I got out. I was in a meeting once with this elderly gentleman. He got up on his chair, and he started, and this one you could smoke in the room too, and some of them had a couple bottles of beer. But anyways, he got up in his chair, and it was one of the first times I ever experienced where a member actually stood up and supported the chair during a contract ratification vote. The chair was being taken on by a disgruntled member. The member was only there about probably 3 years, and he got up and he actually said, "Hey, look, this individual has represented your interests. He's done the best he can. The committee, we elected the committee to do the best they can. We need to take whatever information they have, their recommendation, and make a decision on that. And you need individual to sit down and shut up, because we're the ones that brought you in. We gave you a job, took you off the street. We gave you a good wage. We gave you health care, and now you need to be able to support everybody else's decision." So it was a good feeling that the membership understood they need to stand up and fight for their rights. And everybody has a right to express their opinion and stuff. And there's a little back and forth there. But still the contract was passed. But like Warren was saying, different things impact your collective bargaining agreement, impact your life. And you know, one of the things I want to talk about is political issues. The other thing I want to talk about is organizing, servicing our Grand Lodge Convention, and also some projects that we have going on in the territory. But one of the biggest things in the political arena right now is the right to work legislation that's popping up across the country. And I really feel that, you know, whether you belong to the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, the Independent, the Socialists, wherever you stand politically, that's your own personal beliefs. That's your right to select whatever party you want to support. But when you look at the parties, and the party that supports workers' rights or supports you as an individual, that's where I see a lot of people gravitate to whatever party is doing their best interest, taking care of their best interest. And right now, I think our Congress is extremely dysfunctional. All they do is attack each other. There's no common ground. There's no bipartisanship. And I kind of look back over the last 30 years and I say, what has Congress did to actually improve my life? I can't think of one thing. I mean, family health care was, our family Leave Act was passed, but, you know, it didn't affect our collective bargaining agreements because we had a lot of people had leaves in their collective bargaining agreement. But I keep looking back, and you know, I go back into the 60s because I've been around a few years, and I look and, you know, Kennedy did some good stuff, Lyndon Johnson did some good stuff, but you know, Richard Nixon passed OSHA. And today, Richard Nixon would be considered a moderate Democrat, maybe even a little liberal, you know? That's just amazing. So I look at it, what can we do to make sure that the politics work best for us? And what I did is I've changed the direction in the territory. We need to focus more on our communities, more on our state politics, because that's where you're going to have a bigger impact, and that's where you're going to really drive change. And we had to put in place the mechanism and the structure for that to happen. And we started under Warren 12, 14 years ago to put back in place the Eastern States Conference of Machinists, which we did. They're the ones that handle all the political issues between conventions. So we got it back in place, we worked it, we got it well funded, and in order to reach our final goal, we had to put in place a director of political action. The individual that coordinates all the political activity in the states throughout the territory. We got 13 states in the District of Columbia. And we put that in place. We've selected an individual, and he's here today. Bill Shortell is the director of the Eastern States Conference of Machinists, who's going to be talking to you about some of his activities. So we're really going back to our grassroots in our community to really drive some change in the political arena. And I think you see that now, what's happening in Wisconsin, in Indiana, in Ohio. That's where the real change is going to happen, is in our respective states. Because when our elected congressmen, our congresswomen, our congressional district delegates leave, they go to Washington, it's a whole different world down there. They get inside that beltway, and it's a whole different world. And especially my congressional representative is John Boehner. He's out of the 8th Congressional District in Westchester, Ohio. Here's a guy that's he's a different type of individual. His father owned a bar, and his father served blue-collar workers, union workers. And he talks about having to sweep the floors in there. But he was given an education based on people that supported his father's business were union people. He forgot that, or he don't care about it. And every once in a while I get a chance to remind him. I'll run into him once in a while down in D.C. That's a whole other story. He does like to indulge in alcoholic beverages. And both times I've seen him, he was kind of inebriated. And he even asked for my business card once, and I gave it to him. So I told him, give me a call. He says, I want to talk to you about your pension. I go, okay, good. Give me a call. He never did. Well, anyways, those individuals, they lose sight of what they need to do to take care of their people back home. In order to make sure we get our biggest political impact, we need to work with our state representatives and even our congressional delegates when they are back home, have a bigger step. So we really need to concentrate on being involved in our community activities, being involved with our state legislators and issues that relate to the workers in each respective state. We're on our way to do that. So, right to work, I think there's going to be a groundswell, like in Wisconsin. I think there's going to be a big pushback on that, and it's going to happen in the respective states. Warren talked a little bit about the budget, and it was passed last night. Finally, 11th hour, they passed the budget. And I guess they got the writers taken off, but they got to go back and debate them. And I heard this morning from Rob, he said that Harry Reid caved and said he would have a vote in the Senate, and it's going to move forward. And that's, whatever side that you're on that, the biggest thing that I look at is that the Department of Defense budget wasn't going to get put in place. Now, the Department of Defense budget, not only does it pay for our military, pay for our troops and stuff, but it also pays for prime contractors in this territory. Prime contractors are ones that work for the government. Lockheed Martin, prime contractor. General Dynamics, prime contractor. General Electric, Rolls-Royce. All these companies are prime contractor. That meant if that budget didn't go through, those projects would shut down. And talking with the representatives in those areas, we were standing to lose on Monday layoffs of close to probably 4,000 people, just because of the dysfunctional Congress that we have. We were going to lose at least 4,000, 2,000 alone at Bath Iron Works. The company told us that if that budget is not passed, we are going to have to lay off 2,000 people. So that's where I was looking at on this budget, is what effect that it was going to have on our members. And we're going to lose a ton of members. So I'm thankful it's through, but the fight ain't over with. This is just for 5 months. Going to get right back into it in September or November. We're going to be right into the same thing again. So we need to, we're going to take that as a priority issue with our legislative department, with MMPL, and we're going to try to move that forward come this May. So that's where we're at politically. Now, my next big thing is organizing and servicing. Servicing, if you don't service your members, you're never going to be able to organize. And that's one of the major problems that we had back in the 80s and 90s. We had lousy servicing. People were being elected that had no experience whatsoever when it came to police and collective bargaining agreements. I'm not saying the majority. I'm saying there was a good, solid percentage, 20% of our representatives out there that were not qualified to be business reps. And that hurt us. We had, Warren, on the average, 10, 12, 20 RDs?
Probably 20.
Yeah. And an RD is a term that an NLRB where you have a group that's decertifying the machinist union. Why? Because of servicing. So in the 90s, we had to take a look at the servicing side of it, because if we didn't service, we weren't going to be able to organize. And by then, there was no organizing going on whatsoever. In 1997, when Warren took over, there was absolutely no campaigns going on in this territory. first thing Warren wanted to do was start educating and training, which we did. Right? It was so bad that we asked our representatives, and we had 127 business reps in that room for a staff conference, 127 of them. We asked them, how many of you have negotiated a first agreement? Maybe 3 raised their hand. This is including the Grand Lodge representatives. And we asked them, how many of you ever handled a strike? Maybe 6 or 7 raised their hand. How many of you have